we're going to go over inputting timesheets into the system. So once you've gotten into Acumatica, what you're going to want to do is go to the Organization tab, select Time and Expenses, go to the Work area, which is the pencil, select Employee Time Cards, and this is going to give you a list of all the employees that you have access to for time card entry. For regular technicians, you're going to typically only have access to yourself. Lead technicians, you should have access to other technicians. Patty, Jessica, and Danielle should have access to everybody so they could help with a time card issue if they have to. But the time cards are ultimately your responsibility. So let's say that I'm going to select someone to do a time card for. I'm going to go in and let's say I'm going to grab Jeremy Emery here. Once I select him, I'll note that there's no time cards that have been created for him. So in order to get my first time card, I'm going to click on the plus sign, and that's going to bring up a time card record. And by default, it's going to give me the current upcoming week, which right now is week 15. And if that's not the week that I want, I can go and select a different week. I'm going to go back and select the week 14, which is Saturday the 1st through Friday the 7th. And I'm going to click on the Save button, which is going to give me an open time card. So now I've got an open time card for Jeremy. In order to put time on the time card, I'm going to want to assign by earning type which projects and tasks that he was spending time on. Now the earning types are going to be a little bit different in Acumatica than what you might be used to, but kind of in the same vernacular. These are the earning codes that we'll be using, these 8 codes, or 10 codes. So there's AD, which is admin time, and this is time spent doing HR stuff, meetings, paperwork, stuff like that. Bereavement time, if you're taking time off due to a death in the immediate family that's been approved by your manager, this is where you would tag that time. Davis-Bacon is for time spent on Davis-Bacon wage jobs, which is where the wage will have a differential to it. Holidays, for public holidays, you know, Christmas, Memorial Day, Labor Day, those types of things, you would put HL in as your code for the public holidays. NT is for bona fide night work, where you're going to be getting paid the night time differential. PT is for PTO, which is paid time off. This is your vacation and admin time that was all combined this last year. So if you're taking a vacation day off or a couple hours one day off, this is where you would tag that time. PW is prevailing wage, and this is if you're working on a prevailing wage job. RG is regular hours, and this is where you're going to be tagging most of your job hours. This means it's job hours at just the regular wage, which means not Davis-Bacon and not prevailing wage and not night work. Shop is for shop time, which is time that you spend at one of the CCS offices doing work, or like time that you would be spending working on maybe cleaning your van out or getting it washed. And then there's the 40-hour plug. Now this should only be filled in by a manager, an assistant project manager, or a project manager. And this is that 40-hour guarantee that we have in place. So these are your 10 time codes that we'll be using in the Acumatica system. So let's get into how we're going to implement that. So I've got my time card header. To add a line to my time card, I'm going to click on the plus sign down here, and plus is the universal for adding. If I hit a plus up here, it adds a new time card. Plus down here adds a new row. And then I'm going to go and type in an earning type. Now if I forgot the earning types that we had, I can always click on the lookup arrow here, and it's going to show me all the different earning types that are available. Well, let's say that I know I'm working on a job that's a regular pay, so I'm going to do RG for regular work. Now I want to type in my project number. I can look one up, or I can type in the number. So if you know the number off the top of your head, you can just type the number in. If the number is like on your calendar or wherever, it's easy to type it in. And as you type it, it kind of insta-fills for you. Your project task is almost always going to be 900. That's the install project task. If your project manager or somebody else tells you to use a different code, then you can use that task code, but other than that, use code 900 just to keep it easy. So let's say I was working on this project Monday for 8 hours, Tuesday for 9 hours, and Wednesday we were there for 6 hours, right? So we were there for basically 2.5 days. Maybe we finished up a little bit early. So I put my time in here. Now, if I'm the lead technician, I'm going to want to put a log in with my time, and I'm going to do that right here by clicking on the little Notes tab. And I'm going to type in whatever I would have normally put in for a log, like, finished early on Wednesday. And you can put multiple notes in here. Once you've added one note, you can always go back and just add on to this note by putting something else on. By the way, client showed up late on Tuesday. And then you put your initials next to it if you want to. All right, so I've added a couple days worth of time. And maybe on that Wednesday when we were short on time, maybe we came to the shop and did some work. So I'm going to go and tag some shop time. So I'm going to type in SH here for shop time. Now, by default, it's going to grab the project that you most recently used. But if you're tagging time that isn't related to a project, you're going to want to use X as the code. X is the code that you use for anything non-project. So meetings, time off, all that stuff, that's X. So let's say on Wednesday we came in to the shop and did light bulbs or something. So I'm going to put 2 hours in on Wednesday for shop time. And let's say on Thursday, maybe I was working on a prevailing wage job, and that job was this job. I took code should be 900, and it was, let's say, 10 hours. So I've got my Thursday time. And Friday, maybe my parents were in town, so I took time off. So that's PTO time, which is code PT. And that is non-project, so I'm going to use X. And if I look up here, so far I've got 35 hours for the week covered, so I'm probably only going to take 5 hours off. And I may make a note over here in the description that just says vacation, so they would know that that's what I was using that time for. And now I've got my completed timesheet for the week, and I can save that timesheet. And once I save it, you'll note that it says it's on hold. I've got my 40 hours. The last and final step for my timesheet is to go into Actions and click on Submit. And once I submit it, if everything is okay with my timesheet, it'll change to a status of approved. Now, if you submit it and you get some error messages in here, then you're going to want to leave it on hold and let either your APM, your PM, or myself know about the problems that you're having with that timesheet, because it could be that something isn't set up the way it's supposed to be. And that, my friends, is timesheets. Thank you.